Hey everybody, Peter Kima here. It is Friday. It is 8:30. It is time for Coffee Talk with Kima. I hope you're all doing well. It's good to be back. As many of you know, I was on the coast of Maine for about a week, a little bit over a week last week, and it's always good to be home. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, I'll tell you what. So let's dive right in today. Last two nights I've stayed up late watching the debates. I'm a politics junkie. I love politics. I won't talk them with you, but I love politics and I love strategy. And I find it very interesting the different tenor of the debates between the two parties, right? The main topics that they'll talk about in a Republican debate versus the ones they'll talk about in a Democratic debate. I just find that very, very fascinating, and what's important to people and how the country reacts. Well, I'll get into that in a second. So one of the things that I noticed, though, is, and maybe you've noticed the same thing, there are several seasons a year now, right? And so there are several seasons a year now that never seem to end, right? I'll give you some examples. Political season. It seems like that we used to have, 12, a little bit over 12 months worth of, candidates announcing themselves, raising money, and debating with each other, right? Campaigning, right? That's the word I'm looking for. People that are campaigning. And today, it seems like that has gone to a point where it is year-round. NHL hockey, NBA basketball, NFL football, right? NHL hockey just wrapped up. Championship was just a couple weeks ago. Hurricanes are already back at it with their rookies and trying to build their new team. So I just find it very, very interesting that that already we're seeing these seasons just kind of become one big long season. There were people on the stage last night and the night before that had announced their candidacy. Literally, they had announced their candidacy back in 2017. Think about that for a second. The debate or the campaigning season never ends, right? It used to be very defined. It never ends anymore. And the same thing with the NHL, the NFL, all the different, right? So the NHL, again, the Hurricanes had their young guys out the last couple of days. NHL season just ended. It just seems like the NFL season, the NHL season, the NBA season, politics, everything seems to be year-round now. Why? I think it's because of the access to media, because everything's so accessible now. But when you've got people announcing their candidacy in 2017, and here we are in a 2020 election, it is evidence of the fact that these seasons are just one long season. You're campaigning all the time. So anyhow, I throw that out there for you. Boy, did I watch some college baseball, and boy, did I love it. I'm curious from your perspective, right? Everybody loves the NFL. Most people like the NBA, that kind of thing. But let's talk about two sports for a second that when it's playoff time, there might not be better TV than college baseball or NHL hockey, right? Most of you aren't watching NHL hockey every single night. At least most of the people in my world aren't. I'm a hockey fan. I like watching hockey, but I don't watch it every night. I don't keep up. I couldn't tell you, the standings every single day. Like I can in baseball. I watch that every day. But boy, NHL hockey in the playoffs is fun. Playoff hockey is a blast. I would throw in there college baseball being just as fun, right? When you see a kid get into second base, turn around, and just show that excitement after hitting a double or stealing a bag or taking one off the wall and throwing a guy out at third, the emotion and the energy that comes out of the dugout and the players on the field. If you haven't watched college baseball, especially during the College World Series, you are missing out. Most of those kids will never play another game of baseball in their life, right? Unless they're playing in men's league in Wake Forest on Sunday afternoons. They're not playing. But when they're in that college world, this is the end-all be-all for them, and their emotions show it. And there's so much pageantry, just so much fun. It's no wonder why they built this enormous stadium out there in Omaha to support these guys, because quite frankly, it is one of the coolest things to watch. Hey, good morning, everybody. I see a ton of people popping on. Glad to see everybody. So real briefly, for those of you that just joined, I'm curious, is there a season of the year that just doesn't end? In New England, I know that sometimes feels like winter. I'm talking, does the NBA season really ever end? And honestly, I would venture to bet that the NBA season is more interesting during the off season than it is when they're actually playing games. NFL season certainly never ends. There's something going on with the NFL year round. We started this conversation by talking about politics never ending. But I'm curious, is there a season in your mind that we didn't mention that just never ends? So I went on vacation, right? We just got back from Maine and Massachusetts. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in Massachusetts. My grandmother, not my kid's grandmother, my grandmother turned 98 years old this week. And we had a chance to celebrate with her. Still lives by herself. My dad goes up every day and helps out with a few things here and there. And my aunt and uncle come up every weekend to help her. But quite frankly, the fact that she lives by herself, she cooks her own meals. I mean, she is amazing, and she looks so beautiful and is doing so well. And I'm so blessed to be able to not only say that I've got a grandmother alive, but a chance to actually go visit her. And so last week was special for me to be able to share my kids with her again. I'm hoping now, as Cole's 15, that he'll have good memories of his great grandmother. So what a great trip. So I did coffee talk from the coast of Maine last week at a place called Perkins Cove, one of my favorite places. And it got me to thinking about, like, what do we do next year for vacation, right? And so I could go to Perkins Cove. I can go to the coast of Maine every year for vacation. I don't know that I can convince the rest of my family to go to the same place. Although they liked it, I don't think they can go to the same place every year. Where's a good place for us to go to vacation? We are not tropics, right? Other than Jen wanting to go to Bora Bora, we're just not the tropics. So places like the Bahamas, where that poor young girl just got killed by a shark, save those. Those aren't for us. Where's another great place, especially stateside, someplace in the country that we can go and spend a week next year that might be a lot of fun? I'm thinking Lake Tahoe. I'm thinking Grand Canyon. I'm thinking, I don't know. You tell me, where's a great place to go on vacation? Where's someplace that you and your family have gone on that you wish you could go back to? Share those with us this week. Send them to me privately. Post them here, whatever you want to do. But I'm curious. We're starting to put together our list, and I think other people would benefit from that as well. So if you've had a great vacation, please post it here. It really means a lot to me. Best part about vacation, absolute best part of vacation, isn't the rest. It isn't the relaxation. It isn't the coming home, getting in your own bed, or any of that crap. I'm going to tell you the best part about vacation. Absolute best part about vacation is coming home and Ozzy seeing you for the first time in 10 days and your dog just going crazy. You talk about, I don't care how many people you've upset in life. I don't care how many people that you're dealing with at work. I don't care about the stress, tension in your family. You want to feel good, go away for just a little bit. I mean, hell, you can just go away for a couple hours. Most dogs that come home, they're going to be excited. But go away for 10 days and come home and see your dog. And let me tell you something. They get so excited and they make you feel so good. Anyhow, that was my favorite part about vacation. While I enjoyed being up there and I enjoyed my family and everything else, the anticipation of seeing Ozzy, and then he didn't let down. He was great. It's about to get hot. Now, let me tell you, when I was in Maine and Massachusetts, zero humidity. 75 to 80 during the daytime. Sun was warm. And when you were in the sun, it was nice and warm. You're in the shade. It felt perfect. At night, 58 degrees. It was an absolute perfect weather condition. We've come back to a little bit of weather. I mean, it's been hot, but it hasn't been real muggy. I understand that's changing today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And gratefully, and certainly apropos, we'll be on the baseball diamond somewhere. And catchers will be sipping water. Hopefully, they're sipping water now. For all you baseball players out there that tune in, and I know you do, because you've told me you do, make sure you start sipping water on Thursdays for Saturday games, right? Especially on weekends like today. I hope everybody stays cool. I want to talk real estate with you. And I have a few different directions I can go this week. It is really interesting. I saw a stat yesterday. And get this, I'm going to just throw out a few states. If you were tasked with saving 10% down on an average home in your state, here are the average lengths of time it would take you to save, if you just take the averages, to save 10% down to buy your home. Let's start right here at home in North Carolina. It says it would take you 1.94 months, there's going to be years, to save 10% down. Almost 2 years, right? Massachusetts, 3.2 years to save 10% down. North Dakota, a little bit over 1 year. Kansas, a little bit over 1 year. So where real estate is really expensive, it obviously makes sense that people are going to take a little bit longer to save that money. But let's also remember that where real estate is typically more expensive, people's incomes are a little bit higher as well. So it's not a standard ratio. We're not taking everybody makes $75,000 and the average home is $300,000. That's not what we're doing here. We're taking the average home there and the average income and how long that might take. Here's the biggest one. Who do you think? Let me ask you this. What state would it take you the longest to save 10%? And are you willing to sacrifice like this? Tell me what state you think takes the longest. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to give you a couple of others here. Indiana, just over 1. New Mexico, 3 years. Arizona, almost 3.5. Nevada, 4.5. Washington State, 4.7 years. But tell me, what state do you think takes the longest? You think it's New York? You think it's California, Texas? Which one do you think it is? All right, so nobody wants to guess this morning? I got you. Maybe you don't know the states anymore. No, good guess, Megan. Thank you for participating, Megan. You're part of the team, and you're always good to me, so thank you for doing that. No, guys, it's California. And I'm going to blow you away with how long it takes to save 10% of your money in California, 10% down in California. 37.4 years to buy an average home in the state of California. 37.4. New York's just sitting at 3.9. I mean, think about that for a second. Texas, 2.3. Right now, of course, there's a lot more rural parts of Texas that impact that number. But think about that for just a second. Unbelievable. So I thought that was an interesting statistic. I thought that was a little eye-opening. That being said, you don't need to save 10%. Now, we encourage you to save 20% down. Let me be crystal clear. 15-year mortgages, 20% down, the whole Dave Ramsey thing. However, if you are choosing not to do that, the more you can put down, the better. You want to put enough down where you don't have to have PMI, right? When you start paying a private mortgage insurance, unless you can get a unique loan like a USDA loan or a VA loan or something like that, you're going to be paying private mortgage insurance. And so that's why the 20% down is so important. We're actually going to talk about that next week. So tune back in if you're thinking about buying a house or you know somebody that is. So let's talk about the top 4. I thought this was another interesting thing. By the way, we're not talking about local statistics today, and here's why. They haven't changed. They're right where they were a week ago. They're right where they were 2 weeks ago. Very little change. Subtle, but very little change right now. So we're going to give a little bit of gap right there. The top 4 renovation projects that have the highest return on investment. You're about to sell your home, and you come to us and you say, what should I do to my home that would give me the highest level of return? Or you say to me, should I do that? What percentage return will we get on this? The top 4, as produced by the National Association of Realtors, starting with number 4. Adding a deck to your home in wood. Now, they did this with wood, not composite materials. Adding a deck to your home in wood. It is a $13,000 average investment, $13,300 average investment, and it returns 75%, a little bit over 75%. Thought that was interesting. I believe some of this is hyperlocal, and honestly, I'm going to challenge a little bit about what I'm about to tell you. Number 3. A minor kitchen remodel. Minor meaning in the $20,000 range. They use $22,500. I'd say that's a decent kitchen remodel, but it is certainly not a complete take it down to the studs and rebuild it kitchen remodel, right? Kitchen remodel, 80%, a little bit over 80.5% return on your investment. Let's see here. Manufactured stone veneer. In other words, the lick and stick stone, as we call it, on the outside of most homes. Adding lick and stick stone at an average cost of $8,900 has a return of 95%. Why? It goes right back to the foundational belief of this team. People buy and sell based on emotion. When you show up at somebody's house and the exterior looks good and you're walking up that driveway, the front door is clean and freshly painted, you got great fresh hardware, all those things coming together, front porch is blowing off, weather is good, people emotionally already bought in. I tell people all the time, by the time that people get to the back door of your home on that first floor, they've either made a decision that this is a contender or a pretender. Yes, the upstairs needs to be good. And yes, the upstairs needs to help sell the home. No question about it. But it is either a contender or a pretender by the time they've reached the back door. You have got to capture people emotionally from the minute they get out of their car to the minute they get to your back door. So when we talk about that stone veneer, it just adds texture to the front of the home. And the number 1, by the way, that was a 95% return on your investment, almost 95%. The number 1 return on investment idea, if you're going to do something different to your home, this one surprised me a little bit, a new garage door. Average cost about $3,600. Highest percentage return on investment at 97.5%. Now, I'm not saying you run out and replace your garage door, but certainly if you've got an old ratty garage door, I think this is where this comes in, because it certainly hurts you if you've got an old ratty garage door. But I thought that was interesting. I personally, if you would have asked me prior to, I would have taken number 2 and number 3 and moved them to number 1 and number 2, and that is the stone veneer and, most importantly, a kitchen remodel. See, we guide people in the with the following advice. if you're going to spend money and getting your house ready for market, if you're going to do anything, if you're going to break open that checkbook, that wallet, do it where the water flows, right? Kitchens and bathrooms, those are personal spaces to people. So there's your tip for the week. If you're going to spend money anywhere, spend it there. Anyhow, great to see everybody this week. Again, we're on the baseball diamond. This weekend is our final baseball tournament. Wish the boys well. I'm so grateful to be home. It's good to be back, and I hope to see you all soon. If you have any real estate questions, if you want to appear on Coffee Talk, if you have any suggestions for us, give me a call. Shoot me a text. Shoot me your vacation spots too. Don't forget, I want to see where you think you should go on vacation. I hope you guys are doing well, and we'll talk to you later.